my tripod stand, my tripod fixing for the camera, so this might be a wee bit shaky. So deepest apologies, let me try and get it all in. We've got all the media still here. And we're just going to talk about what happened yesterday with the Hamilton report. Obviously, we already know that if you can actually listen very carefully, if you can hear that in the background, that's the sound of shredders shredding documents for the Hamilton report. We already know that this has been a massive stitch-up right from the start. It's not anything that we don't already know. This has been a complete abuse of power. We already know that Sweeney, the Spectator magazine, said that John Sweeney was not releasing the FOI that was requested of him to hi there, hi Jimmy, how you doing? Was not requesting the documentation that was done under an FOI between Sweeney and James Hamilton QC. So we already know that this has been a huge stitch-up. There has been the Spectator at Fat Andy Neil has said that good mate, good, I'm glad that the restrictions on the Hamilton inquiry were such that Nicola Sturgeon was only going to be prosecuted. They had made such limitations on the actual Hamilton inquiry that Nicola Sturgeon was only going to be found guilty on the charge of not reporting properly. So a lot of the other things that Nicola Sturgeon, the 30 other things that Nicola Sturgeon could have been found guilty on, these were not even taken up in the Hamilton inquiry. So we already know that this has been corrupt to the core. That's right, Roberto. This has already been a huge stitch-up. It's been a massive stitch-up. But Nicola Sturgeon's not off the hook because there's another parliamentary inquiry and it's already said she is guilty of misleading Parliament. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Excuse me, my arms are getting sore. Absolutely incredible. So she's not off the hook. This second, the inquiry report is not out. I think it's out on Monday. So there's still a long way to go before Nicola Sturgeon is found not guilty. Humza Useless is on placating her innocence in this Hamilton report, which was a stitch-up. The correspondence between Sweeney and Hamilton were not released under an FOI. So we don't know what sort of political interference has been going on in the background in this Hamilton report with Hamilton as the QC from Ireland. Hamilton was an advisor for the SNP previously, allegedly an SNP member previously. Well, nothing dodgy about that then, is there? I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. Absolutely unbelievable. So we know that this sort of stitch-up is happening in politics. We already know, and to think that somehow she's innocent, when we all know that she's not innocent, she is guilty of misleading Parliament. So, and I think because a lot of the other evidence has been corroborated and her evidence has not been corroborated, we already know that she's been destroying documentation. The shredders have been out. Documents have been not actually maintained in a proper manner. We already know that there has been corruption at the highest level. The documents have been burnt by the civil service. We already know all this. This is out in the public domain. This is not something that they can actually hide. She's got the cheek to complain about people having their mind made up before the evidence is given. It's yeah, that's right, Scott. So we already know that this has already happened. The corruption's already been there. The actual banana republic that we're now living under Nicola Sturgeon is. So we already know that this has actually been happening. There is no. They can't deny it. They can't say that this has not happened. So we've still got the Fabinini account, she's not out the woods yet. This is not we already know she's lied. It's already been leaked that she's lied. That she didn't knowingly lie to the Parliament, which I think we all know that is nonsense. Release the 9 people that made the accusations so that we actually can then find out if there's any connection between the 9 alleged victims and Nicola Sturgeon. We do not know if this has been made, if she has actually had a cohort of other people who are actually connected to her to actually find this out. I'd love to speak to the guy that's gone to jail for 6 months for releasing the names, 5 of the 9 names to the public, and he went to jail for 5 months. I would love to find out who these actual underlying people were who made the allegations and what connection they were to in the SNP and in the civil service, because there's something stinks about all of this. Something stinks, and it's making the Scottish Parliament look incredibly bad. And would you want to be living under the jackboot of authoritarianism that the SNP are offering? I would suggest no. That's my own personal opinion. And we've also got the media. The media have been doing a terrible job in covering up. I think only the Guerilla TV channel has got any integrity in the fact of what we're actually doing here as independent journalists. All of the other media have been giving milquetoast, supine, trying to remove evidence online. Crown Office, that's right, threatening Spectator David Davis volunteered to read Alex Salmond. Yeah, he volunteered to read the Alex Salmond speech in Parliament, to actually have it then minuted in Parliament, the summation in Parliament, which you definitely should do. But I'm not as interested in what Alex Salmond, the submission, because we've already seen it. It's already up on the Guerilla TV channel, so we already know what the submission says. What I'm interested in is the text messages. I'm interested in him reading out the text messages and finding out what was actually in the text messages, to actually then be able to identify if there has been a corroboration between the civil service, the higher ups and the SNP, and ultimately Nicola Sturgeon, who says, "Oh, it wasn't me, it was nothing to do with me, oh, I wasn't there, oh, I couldn't have done it, I'd take myself out of the process," quite conveniently. So we already know that this is happening. We're not stupid. It's now the court of public opinion. The election's coming up in May, and we're actually going to be finding out what the public actually think about this. Because if they want to live in a banana republic, an independent Scotland that becomes a banana republic, I've got no problem with independence. If that's what somebody wants, if they don't want that, then that's fair enough as well. I have no problem with that. But what I don't want to be doing is living in a banana republic where a bunch of neo-communists are now then trying to expose the jackboot of authoritarian on the Scottish population. We might as well be in the union with the rest of the UK than for that to happen. At least that would be more of a liberal democracy. There has to be a change in the Scotland Act, so that we actually change it so there's separations between certain aspects of governance, such as the judiciary. There has to be parliamentary privilege brought in. There has to be privilege for journalists as well. I've applied to be a journalist through the NUJ, and so that I'm actually an official journalist then as well. I don't see why there's any problem. I've already paid for it, so I'm just waiting for a response back. I don't know if it's because of the COVID or whatever it was. But you saw the other guy. I think that other guy yesterday was a journalist as well, interfering in me actually speaking to Sawa and conducting an interview, which was very ethically dubious about him. But it just shows you that in the media, they are partisan. They're as partisan as the MDL, so they've got an agenda that they're pushing as well. So let's not think that we're different because we are a libertarian party, but these other individuals are authoritarian, and they are promoting the authoritarian agenda that has been set out, that we are seeing through the Conservative Party. It's not that the Conservative Party are not knee deep in this. They could stop all this. They could stop the destruction of freedom of speech in the universities. They could stop a lot of the taking down of names and statues by Sadiq Khan. So they could put an end to all of this. And yet they don't do it. They're complicit in it as well. the five parties in the Scottish Parliament are all in bed with each other, and not one of them is an actual official opposition. They may have, one wants to be part of the union, one wants to be separate, but they're all following the same political agenda. So, I mean, that's just, and the media are also complicit in the actual preventing of this, because a lot of them, like the Channel 4, I think that guy was from Channel 4 yesterday, and the BBC are taking taxpayers' money, so they're complicit to the government and not independent like we are. So we can literally say whatever we choose to say and not have the ramifications of being defunded or whatever happens. I mean, Boris Johnson could change the BBC's ethos, and yet they choose not to. That could actually happen, because they are complicit, and that's the sort of politics that they actually want from the BBC. This partisan left-wing politics, and this is where the Conservative Party aren't a real Conservative Party. The Conservative Party are almost imping for the reactionary communists, which is quite incredible, absolutely incredible. So it's just one thing after another. And it's just absolutely unbelievable what's actually happening. Well, James, you were right. You were right. She said, this is my friend James. James is a great journalist from the Sky. James, you're right. You did say she wasn't going to resign. And you were correct. Oh, there's Jackie there. Oh, I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. Absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable what's actually happening just now. So there's Jackie Bailey.
This is the thing I've come to find such a joy with this committee is, nothing else stops. I need someone to look at the same thing.
Yes. Are we doing Jackie White? Oh, just
No, I'm not doing it. I was just gathering intel.
Because of the anniversary.
So, we're just going to do this.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. All right, do you want me to turn this way? No problem. Listen, anything for you, James. Anything for you. It's my friend there. Jackie, we'd like to talk to you in the Guerilla TV channel after, thanks.
Guerilla TV? No.
Come on, Jackie. And fellow Glaswegian. So, as you can see, they don't want to speak to the audience there. That's why we are called the Guerilla TV channel, because we don't care if they don't want to speak to us. We have to have ways of actually doing that. Speaking to the MPs without them, because if they just say no, they don't want to speak to you, that's it. So they just go through and stay with the mainstream publishers, the mainstream media, so that they can control the narrative and actually then speak to the people who are basically a captured audience, because then you don't get anybody who's a real opposition. None of the five parties are a real opposition. They are milquetoast politicians, milquetoast and supine to the actual underlying situation, which is the globalist agenda. So we all know this. The globalist agenda supersedes any manifesto that's given to the populace that allows for actual real change in the system. And this is what they actually try and do. They don't want to change it. That's because they can't control you, Davey. That's correct. That's why they don't want it. That's why it's not a physical threat. It's they've tried to expand it as a physical threat, or I'm racist, or they've thrown everything at me that they could potentially throw at me. And then when I ask just general questions about what they're saying, they don't like it. So it's quite incredible, because they can't control me, and that's great. We are going to be a new political ideology. And we are not a new political ideology, we're going to reverse to an old political ideology, which is the Scottish Enlightenment values. And these people are not the Scottish Enlightenment, these are the extreme left. This is an extreme left cabal that's supported by the media, and who don't want to talk to anybody who's not actually communicate with, other than through the official media channels. So it's very, very bad. It's very bad. So it'll be quite interesting. Quite interesting what's actually happening here. What's happening? Dying to get a chat with her. Dying to get. Obviously, my family, I told you, my great-grandfather was a plater on the Clyde, and my grandparents were textile workers as well, so naturally I should be on the side with the left have left, everybody, the left are becoming a fringe extremist party, globalist and Islamo-Marxist in its overall complexion. And you don't need to, you just have to watch the Labour Party National Conference to actually see that that's correct. It was a real... I watched the last one, it was absolutely full of loon balls. It was like the Green Party's conference. And I'm actually dying to ask Jackie a quick question with regards to it. Because I would... Why she's in a party that actually had a statue to Frederick Engels, who advocated genocide against the Scottish people, and the Labour Party put it up in Manchester. I'm just curious to know why she's in a party that's done that. But very interesting. So Nicola Sturgeon's certainly not off the hook. She's not off the hook yet, and she the Fabinini inquiry has not found her not guilty. So this is a huge issue for them. And yeah, it's still not. It's the Nicola Sturgeon is. This has not been finalised yet. I don't know whether to ask her about the inquiry. Would you like me to ask her about the inquiry, or would you like me to ask her about the Labour Party and what their position is just now? Any guys, put it in the comments. So, very interesting. Very interesting. So I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets off with it all. Yeah, I think she will get off with it. Ask if her files packed. If her files. Ask her if she wants her files packed. I think they're all burnt. I don't think there is any files. Are and destroyed. And I mean, disgraceful politicians we've got. This is not a good bunch of politicians. I mean, if you think back with other political class, we had leaders before, and yet we do not have these now. Jackie, come back. Come on, Jackie. We love you. The Guerilla TV loves you. Just one quick. I want to answer any questions. I don't know if I cut out there. I don't know if my signal when I was actually asking Miss Bailey the questions. She did very well in her when she was on the committee holding Nicola Sturgeon to account. But this is just we've got an unacceptable political class. It's completely unacceptable, and they don't want to ask. Cut out. Ah, damn. That's a shame. That's a real shame there. I was asking her quite interesting questions, but they don't. You can see that the politicians want to run away if you're asking them interesting questions. They don't want to answer any questions other than the milquetoast media, who are feeding them questions, and they do not want to actually have any sort of contrary to the overall message. They want to control the narrative and actually prevent any dialogue from anybody else other than the mainstream media, because they know that if you start asking them questions, they're not going to be able to answer them, and that's why the media will actually kowtow to them, and anybody who's a threat to that will be destroyed, deplatformed, jobs taken away, and they will actually act like a bunch of bully boys if anybody goes against with the standard media narrative, or the standard narrative for the globalists and the underlying globalist agenda, which covers all of the 5 political parties that are in the Scottish Parliament just now. They do not want anybody who affects that or goes against that narrative. Guys, I just thought I would bring you that. I know this is not the best signal, I think, so I'm going to leave it there. But I love my baby gorillas.